Hey folks, Moose here, taking a momentary coffee break. Steffi's quite a slave driver here in the office, so I want to talk about flash for a second. And flash in particular for wildlife photographers, just basic setup. Now if you want to learn about the SB-900, all right, there's probably no better spot to go than Joe McNally's website. You know the guy's a master. He's got the stuff dialed in when it comes to photographing people and cars, massive destruction, chaos. He's the guy you want to go to. I'm going to talk just briefly about the flash for wildlife photographers. Because basically we use flash for one thing and one thing only, and that is to clean up colors. What do I mean by that? Well, okay, the flash itself is putting out a constant 5500 Kelvin temperature. That temperature, going back to the days of film, is kind of like your base point. That's your color. That is going to be right on. So when we're using the flash and on the digital camera, and we're photographing specifically birds, because that's probably where I use the flash more than any other place, the flash itself is going to bring out the color of those feathers. Now the biological side is those birds and their feathers, they're meant to attract the opposite sex. That's why the males look better. Sorry ladies, that's the way it is. But, you know, we want to make those guys look great. So we're going to use the flash to do that. And we're going to do that by kissing, just barely kissing the subject with the light. So let's set this up briefly, okay? I'm out in the field. I'm going to have the Wimberley flash arm attached to the Wimberley head. You can see an example of this set up in the Better Beamer video, okay? I have the shortened SC29 cord. I use the SC29, so I do have the AF illuminator with me in case I need to use it in low light situations. The flash arm is going to keep the flash directly over the lens barrel, which is very important. Okay, because we want the shadow from the subject to drop behind the subject, not to the left or the right. So those are the main components. And then onto that, we're going to add the SB-900. Now the SB-900, okay, when it goes out in the field, it's not going to have the diffuser dome. We need the light, okay? So that's going to come off. Now this is set up the way I normally have it when I'm shooting around the house. It has a simple 81A gel in here. That's because I don't want white light. I want a warm light kissing subjects here around the home. So I'll take off that. And then you have basically your bare flash, okay? And your bare flash will have the Better Beamer attached to it, which, like I said, you can see in the Better Beamer video. Now when it comes to setup, this is pretty much a no-brainer. Turn the flash on, okay, it'll be turned on, and the exposure compensation that's going to be plugged into here, okay, so you hit the exposure compensation dial, you hit that, you dial in exposure compensation. I'm going to have it basically always set to minus 1.3 stops. That's minus 1.3 stops. That's my starting point. That's my baseline. Might I modify it? You bet. It depends on a number of factors, such as size of the bird in the frame. What's around that bird? Is it in a bunch of green leaves? Is it on a bare branch? Is it on a fence post? Those things will come up. Now, you're saying minus 1.3 stops. That's not much light. I'm not using the flash to sit there and change exposure, to fill in shadows. I'm using it to bring out the color in those feathers. People always ask, how do you get those great colors? This is the trick. Now, the other trick to it goes with it is the fact that, you know, basically, you have this light coming out, it's getting those colors to come back, and because it's at 1.3 stops, the viewer of the photograph doesn't see the flash. It just sees the great color. And that's the whole trick. Okay? Now, a couple things I want to add on to this. SD9, okay, I need this. It's plugged into here. That gives me the ability to use that motor drive. That is essential. Those small movements of the head as it ticks and cocks, I want to be able to catch that, so I need that rapid recycle. And a lot of times, especially like here in the office, I'll have the SU-800 attached onto the camera itself, and then I'll have a flash and a diffuser right next to the bird feeder, which you've seen in a number of videos and other places here in the blog. So basic summation of this, SB-900, Better Beamer, attached to the flash arm, okay, minus 1.3 stop starting point to bring out the color, and that is wildlife flash.